Who is more important to the Tennessee Vols moving forward? Nico or Vitello? They don't just rhyme. They happen to be really, really good at what they do. So I ask you, Caleb, who is more valuable to Tennessee's athletic department? And I wrote this on offthehooksports.com. Is it Vitello or Nico?
And notice you didn't say Josh Heupel because that one would be obvious. It would be Josh Heupel.
Yes, maybe I've done this before a time or two. But you think about the answer. I want to remind everybody it's brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. Go to rickterryjewelry.com. They want to be your jeweler looking for Fire Opal's affordable game day jewelry that are orange and awesome. All right, so which one?
It's Nico. It's Nico Iamaleava. And the reason it's Nico Iamaleava is because Josh Heupel, I don't know how much long-term staying power he would have even with this offense without an early national title, because I think eventually it's going to be figured out. I think the move for Josh Heupel is to be able to win a national title early. So by the time people do figure out your offense, you have such credibility, you can recruit top talent at a high level no matter what. The only way he can win that national title early is with a quarterback like Nico Iamaleava. So therefore, Nico Iamaleava is way more important than Tony Vitello because the future of the program depends on Nico Iamaleava. If he doesn't deliver a national title for Josh Heupel over the next 2 years, Josh Heupel will not win a national title.
That's crazy.
You don't think he can get another great quarterback after Nico? Are you telling me he's a one quarterback wonder? Because if so, then people are going to tell Josh Heupel,
you suck, you jackass.
I think Nico Iamaleava is the only quarterback possible in the history of humanity that could play in Josh Heupel's system and win a national title when Tennessee does not necessarily have national title talent all over the field, which we'll get to in our next segment. I don't mean there can't be other great quarterbacks in the system. But Nico Iamaleava, I keep telling you, was created in a lab for Josh Heupel's system. Josh Heupel will have other great quarterbacks. He had Hendon Hooker. George McIntyre, I'm sure, will be great. Quarterbacks down the line will be great. There is no quarterback I've ever seen, Dave, literally designed in a lab for Josh Heupel's offense. And how often do you get a quarterback designed in a lab to run your offense?
Okay, but here's the problem. You're shortchanging Josh Heupel. You're telling me that he has to have the perfect quarterback to win at the highest level. I'm telling you that he doesn't. Hendon Hooker. Okay, well, all right. You clarify, but Hendon Hooker was not an elite quarterback, but he played at an elite level. So I don't think Nico is nearly as important as you. Now, it is for this season, and don't get me wrong, but I believe if something happened with Nico, it would be terrible. It would be terrible. But Josh Heupel is such a good offensive coach that he would get something out of Merklinger or Gaston Moore, and Tennessee would have a respectable season. And I believe they would still push for the college football playoff around the 16-20 range, not really, really push, okay? That's where I am on Nico. Now, with Vitello, I think there's a good chance the baseball program falls off the face of the earth. So I'm going on Vitello. It is on our message board. You can answer that poll question right now. I'm sorry, on the YouTube page. And that question is pretty simple. Vitello or Nico? Who's the MVP? Nico, 67% of the vote so far. Vitello, 33%. You were saying, Caleb?
Hey, Dave, did Tennessee win a national championship with Hendon Hooker?
Pretty good point. I don't think they did.
So Hendon Hooker, while Josh Heupel made Hendon Hooker great, and he was a Heisman candidate, he didn't make him great enough to uplift their lack of talent elsewhere, did he?
Hey now.
Good point by Caleb.
Yes. I'm saying to you that Tennessee needs a national championship because you may think I'm crazy on this. All offenses get figured out eventually. All offenses get.
I don't think you're crazy on that. And I think there is a window. I completely agree with that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the offensive line rules at some point where offensive linemen can go downfield on a pass and essentially block for the receivers, which Heupel benefits from.
That is a huge, great point. And actually, let's let's bring up a name. Let's talk Nick Saban for a minute.
Because that's
If
the
Nick
NFL rule.
Right. If Nick Saban didn't already have 3 or 4 national championships when they changed the rules and he realized he had to go up tempo offense, do you think he ever would have won a national title? Do you think he ever would have been able to recruit the way he did?
Well, he had one at LSU.
Because the rules hadn't changed yet, and it was still beneficiary to have the slow-paced offense with all defense and ground and pound during that time. So it fit what he wanted to do. But 10 years later, when Gus Malzahn took the SEC by firestorm with the offense and Nick Saban realized he needed to adapt, he adapted, don't get me wrong. But the only reason he was able to was because he could recruit so well. And Dave, the only reason he could recruit so well was because he had the national championships under his belt. What I'm saying to you is that either the rules will change or somebody will figure out Josh Heupel's offense. Josh Heupel, at that point, needs to have enough credibility as a coach to be able to get top 5 recruiting classes consistently. And I'm saying, do you think he can get that credibility without winning a national championship? Because I don't think he can.
So you think the offense will be figured out and he's going to have to adjust at some point. You think the window is now. Yeah, you think the window is now. You think Nico's the guy. I agree with all that. I think he's smart enough where he will adjust and be a successful coach for the next 20 years. I don't think it's going to be limited to that window. So I'll ask you this. If Tony Vitello would go, what would happen to Tennessee's baseball program? Because did you see the video, by the way, that they showed of Condridge Holloway throwing out the first pitch at Tony Vitello's first game, Caleb?
I did not, actually.
There were literally like 6 people in the stands. So what would happen to Tennessee baseball if Tony Vitello did go?
Well, I would actually have more faith in Danny White to make the right hire to keep the thing going. I mean, I would honestly just promote Frank Anderson to head coach at that point, the pitching coach. Why not? Overall, though, I get what you're saying. Tennessee baseball would fall off harder than Tennessee without Tony Vitello than Tennessee football if Nico Iamaleava doesn't perform. That part is true, but it's also like relative to scale, way more important for Tennessee football to not fall off at all than it is for Tennessee baseball to maintain a level of success.
Yeah, when you look at the line item budget, the big number is football. Now, let me ask you this. Another, and then we're going to move on because Tennessee is running up the blue chip ratio. You don't know what that means yet, but when Caleb explains it, you'll be very happy about that. But how about this? You have to choose between. So you're choosing Nico over Vitello. How about Nico over Barnes and Vitello? Ooh,
both of them Barnes, together combined?
Yes.
No, I'm going to lean Nico. And I'll tell you why I'll lean Nico. Barnes, how much longer does he have?
Exactly. I don't agree with your stance, but I don't think Barnes changes it whatsoever, if that makes sense.